say $24 an hour? Okay, cool. Let's say that Akima is in Washington State and he works at Jiffy Lube as an assistant manager, making $24 an hour. Let's go to the little tax calculator. Give me a second. Let's see. Hold on. I will tell you.
Jiffy Lube employees wear hats, Mojo?
No, it's not hot dog on a stick, dude.
I don't remember what the dress was.
Let's see. They look like mechanics, dude.
Yeah, but I don't know. I like to see that come on wearing a hat. I think he looks good in a hat.
Zero works 24/7 to kill 99.9% of bugs trapped.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Not in that photo.
Say that.
Can I offer a suggestion?
Sure.
Okay. Let's be fair. Define income as income from wages paid for your work. Whether you're flipping hamburgers or you're the CEO, you get a check, a salary for the work that you perform, right? I guess that everybody can agree on that. Then
yes.
let's flat tax such wages.
At what rate?
I don't know. We can debate that, but let's flat tax it so that everybody, quote, pays their fair share. No deductions, no gimmicks, no loopholes. If you get a check on an annual salary of $100,000, you pay X percent. And if you make $10,000 in wages, you pay X percent. If you don't get any wages, you don't get any tax on earned income. Okay? Then we look at, so everybody pays an equal amount of the money, no gimmicks, no whatever, for the money that they earn as a result of working. Then we look at other income. The CEO that gets stock options, bonuses, all that other stuff. And we tax the living shit out of that to generate enough revenue to sustain a, quote, small federal government, limited government, governed by the people, which was the intent of the formation. All right, I'll stop. I can't, if you don't let me talk, then I can't explain. I'll stop.
I want to hear you explain. I just want to ask a question here. So when you say the stock, if you're issued RSUs and you receive the stock, you're not going to pay the taxes on it until you sell the stock. And so I just want to clarify what you mean by treating it all like income. So if a CEO got, let's say, $4 million allocated to them in RSUs, you would not want to tax them until they sold them.
I agree. I said tax income, but there's different income. There's income earned by the sweat of your brow. Whether you're a CEO, you're a hamburger flipper, or you're an insurance agent, or whatever, tax that income. No loopholes, no gimmicks, and we can argue, and I have no idea exactly what it would be, 5%, 10%, I don't know what it would be, but it would be some amount. Then we look at the revenue generated as a result of that and compare it to the legitimate spending that we need to be able to sustain a vibrant country and take care of those that are truly in need. Then look at the other income, other than your wages. And if you get a stock option, but you don't make any money that year from the stock option, then obviously you don't tax it. But when you cash in those stocks, you pay something a hell of a lot more than the minimum in taxation rate that everybody participates in. That results in the wealthy getting taxed at a much greater rate for their significant income. But it also means that the downtrodden are contributing, quote, their fair share. Then we can argue about the safety net as to what is reimbursed to those that are the downtrodden. But that's a different argument. That's an argument not of taxation and fairness of taxation. It's an argument of who deserves to take that slam dunk major payments by the rich to be redistributed. That's a different argument than trying to distribute benefits through quote income tax, which has gotten out of control. Does that make any sense?
I love the grandfather. It does. I love that your grandfather clock is going off a minute early. It's amazing. But no, I actually think that was thoughtful and that was a good share. I'd love to hear people's thoughts on that. As you guys think about that, hopefully that sunk in. You guys understood what he was getting at. I wouldn't necessarily co-sign, but I do think that he put a lot of thought into that. I want to just share this to Hakima and to Kristen.
Actually, I didn't put any thought into it. I just pulled it out of my ass when I saw the topic of the room, and I don't think we should crucify the poor.
Well, I disagree. But let's go back to Hakima working as an assistant manager at Jiffy Lube, making $24 an hour. Assuming he's working 40 hours a week, the gross annual income is $49,920 a year. The standard deduction would be $15,000, which would make his taxable income $34,920 a year annually, which would mean that his federal tax liability would be $3,952 annually, and so he would be paying 7.9% of gross income in federal income tax. And so now knowing that, Hakima, do you think that that's too little or too much? No? Okay.
I just want to say thank you for doing net effective tax rate, the only fucking number that matters.
I'd like to say the silence is deafening.
Can we get to the fact? Or okay, go ahead.
Hey, Roger, I cut out. You said the tax rate is 7.9%. I didn't get nothing else definite.
So yeah, we were talking about your job as an assistant manager, making $24 an hour at Jiffy Lube, 40 hours a week. You would make $49,920. You have a standard deduction of $15,000. Your taxable income is $34,920, which means your taxes would be $3,952. So your effective tax rate is 7.9% of gross income.
Yeah, but hold on, you slipped something in there. It was like
This is for 5 days ago.
So the only thing I slipped in there was facts. Go ahead.
No, the standard deduction, but that don't come until
we asked
the
him to
following
do.
year. But that other money,
He
that
put
money was
himself in
paid, so they
harm's
may
way.
take that
He
money
made
back
the ultimate
in return, but they
sacrifice.
paid that money in taxes. So you're looking at the end of it. You're not looking at the money they are paying every week or every 2 weeks out there. Check, they are paying taxes. I gotta say, they may get a refund back or deductions or whatever, but they are paying the tax. The government is using that money.
Hakima, you're aware though, in the end, when it squares up, that somebody making $24 an hour is only paying. They're paying less than $4,000 a year
seasons where
in
we're
federal
going to be
income
doing
tax.
multiple shows.
But there's nuance there. There's millions of people that fall in that category, and all those people, the government is holding their money for an entire year. They are doing things with that money, gaining interest with that money, spending that money on different things. They may get a refund later.
Well, hold on.
They are paying.
Hold on. You could file. You could claim on your W-4. You could claim a different withholding that would allow them to take less of that. At the end of the year, what your tax liability is going to be and what is owed is $3,900 some odd dollars, and so it's little less than $4,000. And so the bottom line is, some people may overpay that and then get a refund. Some people may underpay it and then owe money. And so at the end of the day, what is actually owed? And it's less. The bottom line is it's 7.9% is what they owe, and so those are the facts. And so the idea that you think that the poor pay a higher percentage of tax, I can show you what the upper end of the tax bracket looks like and what people are paying on their taxes.
No, I didn't say they pay a higher percentage of tax. I said they pay their fair share. I didn't say they pay a higher percentage.
So you think 7 point?
The poor pay taxes, and they definitely should not be raised. No tax been raised on the poor. That's ridiculous.
So hold on. So you think that somebody paying 7.9% tax rate is equitable when compared to somebody paying 38%?
They just like that person had deductions and shit like that to get down to that 7.9%. Them people paying that amount got loopholes and different deductions that they take to get their tax number down as well.
I don't know. I think the problem that we're running into here is that I'm good at math.
Can we just say that, across the street from every IRS office, every major IRS office is a Federal Reserve office? And if, can we get to the point to where it's a duplication? Why are we doing this annual burden of tax filing and deductions and accounting and all this added expense so the IRS and Congress can print up $2 trillion plus more every year? It's a huge game of it's a giant spin, and we don't need all this duplication. Why tax us if they're just going to inflate it and they're just going to borrow it? There has to be a reckoning, and every year there's an event at IRS offices called Taxpayer Assistance Day. And in Chicago and every major city, thousands of African Americans. This is probably the most racist thing I've ever seen in my life, because you realize that there's hundreds of thousands of African Americans that are out of compliance with the IRS. They either don't file, haven't filed, or they're having issues with the IRS. And so every year they have to line up to go into the office to do Taxpayer Assistance Day to find out, how do I get into compliance? The system requires you to file. The whole system's fucked up. And since 1913, with the invention of the Federal Reserve, ATF, and the IRS, we have burdened ourselves with a bullshit program to keep us in line in what they call compliance. Well, the American people are in compliance. It is the government that is out of compliance. It is your IRS and your Federal Reserve and your local Congress and senator that are no longer in compliance with the values of America. That's my opinion.
And FAFSA, it was supposed to be a goddamn checkbox, and we didn't get that. Thanks, Obama.
Gary, you came to the stage. Do you believe that we should raise the taxes on the poor? All right. Well said.
Who else in the room besides you believes that?
Who else believes that we should raise taxes on the poor? I don't know. Let's ask. Anybody agree with me that we should raise taxes on the poor?
I think that's the dumbest shit I like. For raise taxes on the poor for what? What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? I'm not speaking to you. I was answering Mojo. I was not speaking to you. Like I was saying, that's a dumbass motherfucking thing. Like, what are you gonna gain from taxing the poor?
Fairness.
I guess many people don't agree with you, Rodney.
I would like to say taxation is theft, but if we're going to tax, it should be equal across the board, flat rate.
Well, here's the facts, right?
You see flat rate sounds better.
Hold on, Chi, hold on. Here's the problem I have, is that right now the rich pay an overwhelming amount of it, a disproportionate amount of the overall income tax. The top 50% pay 97.7% of all the income tax at the federal level, and the bottom 50% pay 2.3%. I personally believe we need to level that out. I don't think that we should continue this asinine call to tax the rich. I think what we should do is we should fundamentally look at who's paying the tax now, who's not paying the tax now, and we should fix that system, and we should make sure that we eat the poor.
Hey, Rod, I got a challenge for you. Earlier you made a statement that you know math, right? I do the math. Like, what would it take to tax the poor to make that number equivalent or even close to it? You already know there is no answer. Even 100% don't do it. So, like, what amount would make you happy to make that number go from 2% to 4%? Would you be satisfied then if you quadrupled the poor's tax rate and now they paying 4% opposed to 2%? I'm curious.
That would not be what I would favor doing. What I would be in favor of is completely eliminating the income tax altogether. I would abolish the 16th Amendment. I would abolish the IRS. I would end the income tax for everyone. I would end Social Security tax for everyone, Medicare tax for everyone, and I would replace it with a 23% federal sales tax. That's what I would do. And I will go ahead and post a link when I get a second for you to take a look at this proposal. It's been floating around Congress now for about 20 years. It's called Fair Tax. You can look it up at fairtax.org. Thank you.
Is that from Ron Paul or Rand Paul or both?
Ron Paul was an advocate of it, but I don't think he was the sponsor of it. I'll post it. Actually, give me a minute and I'll post it up here. It's just www.fairtax.org.
See, Hakima doesn't want fair tax. He wants to tax the rich only.
You know, Hakima, you might be interested to know that the average slave in 1860 got to keep 60% of his productive output. That's what the average plantation owner reinvested into his slave population. In America today, you're lucky if you get to keep 40% of your income.
And then, so basically saying that the American people are getting treated worse than slaves.
Yeah, it's.
I will say this: the American Revolution was fought over a far less abuse. The deal that we had with the British that we complained was a bad one. Was far more fair than the current system we have.
So Moors were slaves?
No one pushed back on the they got to keep 60% of their output. Nobody pushed back on that. Everyone stayed silent.
This from a book called The Federal Mafia. Now, I agree that I think that it's a very controversial statement, but I really try to bring it up just to point out that we're working 3 out of 5 days to pay taxes. It's income tax, sales tax, property taxes, and it's out of control, and it's because the borrowing and the spending is out of control. And you know, we have to have redress. This is a perfect platform to start the complaint process.
Are you going to use that as an example in a future conversation?
Sure, I got no problem bringing up the Federal Mafia book by Irwin Schiff, Peter Schiff's father. Do you enjoy paying taxes, Jimmy?
No, I just want to understand that example. Why would you say that property can keep property? The argument, how property was able to keep property, 60% of their output.
What I'm saying is slave masters, based on their productivity, and reinvested 60% of what they produced back into maintaining their slave population.
So masters reinvested. So okay, if I have an asset, my house, let's say it's a rental property, and I reinvest some of my revenue.
Slaves had houses, and slaves needed food, and slaves needed clothing.
Well, that's just the cost of input. That's the cost of your input. That's literally an operating expense. It's not a slave keeping a percentage of their output, their property.
can I,
Jesus
Roger,
Christ.
Roger, you said you were good at math. Well, I had a career as a nuclear engineer, so I would suggest that I use
Roger's not here.
Well, Mojo or whoever.
Mojo's not here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well then I'll.
Did he get clipped again? What happened?
No, he was on a phone call.
Yeah, he was going to research something. He'll be back. But my point is,
honestly, I'm sick of
Galaxy Hush.
Listen, I don't know why this guy keeps fixing his lip to speak to me. I don't want to hear from him. Thank you.
Anson, he's back. Roger's back in. Oh, he's gone again.
Well, Akima doesn't want to hear from me, so I'll shut up.
Mojo's back.
I was letting you know he's back. I want to hear what you got to say.
I'm back. I had audio issues. I apologize.
All right, can I get maybe a minute? I believe.
How about a couple of seconds?
How about Chi-Chi's going to the audience, and go ahead, Anson. You will not be interrupted.
As I said,
Thank you.
I believe everybody that earns a wage should contribute to the welfare of America equally. You get a higher wage, you pay a higher tax, not a higher percentage of your wage. Everybody equally contributes to the welfare of America through their wages. Then we go to a different debate and add up that income, that revenue for America. Everybody paying their fair share, and then figure out how we need to raise more revenue to redistribute wealth in America to take care of the downtrodden and not let the rich run rampant with all their money. That is a different argument than what I would call as wage income taxes. Does everybody, and you can bandy around all the percentages you want, and I don't know what that percentage is. I'll throw it out as 5% maybe. And then we have a different argument on a whole different level of taxation, maybe a whole different IRS. The IRS just focuses on who pays how much percentage of the wage of the paychecks they get. And then we can have another agency that regulates how everybody else makes money and how much we should tax that money. Does that make any sense?
I think it's unfortunate that you spent a significant, portion of your naval career fighting against commies, only for the commies to win ideologically here, where you believe that everyone should be treated equally. Because I would vehemently push back against that idea. I think that there are certain citizens that are more productive than others, and we should incentivize them to stay citizens in America, especially those that take more risks than everyone else, have larger responsibilities than everyone else. And so if you are a producer